Hey guys, this is Martin Perdomo, the Elite Strategist, and you're listening to Latinos in Real Estate Investing Podcast. And in this episode, I recorded live while I was doing a real estate investors meetup I hosted not too long ago. In this meetup, the topic was how to raise capital, how to raise private money. And I share a few strategies on how to do that and the things you need to learn and you need to do in order to raise capital effectively for your real estate and for your real estate deals. Guys, I hope you enjoy it. And as usual, if you want to connect with me, we can connect. You can visit my Strasbourg REI website. If you or someone you know is looking to invest in real estate passively, you can visit strasbourgrei.com. You can go to invest passively or partner with us. You can see how we do that. We have a ton of content there, a ton of free content, and a ton of different things you can do. Connect with me on social media. I'm on Instagram at theelitestrategist.com. At the Elite Strategist, not .com, but on Instagram at the Elite Strategist. I'm also on Facebook. Look me up there at Martin Perdomo, the Elite Strategist, or just look up the Elite Strategist. You'll find me there, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I had a lot of fun doing it, that's for sure. And I'll see you at the end of this episode. Thank you guys for listening and tuning in. Appreciate you.
Then what is your morning ritual? How do you talk to yourself? How do you talk to yourself, guys? How do you talk to yourself? Are you forgiving with yourself? Are you not? And you may ask, what does this have to do with real estate? What does this have to do with real estate? Everything. Write this down, physiology. Your physiology. I'm going to give you the three forces called the triad, okay? This determines what you feel and the meaning you assign to it. So when you're having that thought, right, that dictates what you feel and what meaning you're assigning to it, right? I want you to think for a moment, all of you. I want you to think for one quick moment. When you're having a limiting thought or you're having a limiting belief, like the market is bad, or I can't do it, I can't do what he does, or I can't do that, or I can't do this. Think about how your physiology is. Are you standing up straight? When you're having a limiting thought, when you have a limiting belief, how's your physiology? Everyone stand up. I want to do something with you guys. Stand up real quick. I'm going to prove the point to you guys. Put your books down. I'm going to prove to you how your physiology affects your psychology. I want you to close your eyes real quick. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. And I want you to think of a sad time. I want you to think of a sad time, a really sad time. And I want you to breathe how you breathe when you're sad. Breathe, stand how you stand when you're sad. Just really feel it. Just take that whole experience in. Feel it, breathe, stand how you stand when you're sad, something sad. Okay, now open up your eyes, clear that screen, right? Clear that screen. Now put your hands, power pose, feet apart. Okay, you guys have that thought, right, from when you were sad, right? Power pose, shoulders up, shoulders back, face up. Bite a pen like this. I want to see teeth. Smile like this, as if you're biting a pen. Just show me your teeth. You don't even have. It doesn't have to be a real smile. Just show your teeth. Show your teeth. And now from that pose, go ahead and feel depressed. Tell me if you can do it. Go ahead. Show me your teeth. From that pose, can you feel sad? It's impossible.
I think it's broken.
It's impossible. You guys go ahead and sit down. I wanted to show you that because your physiology has a major effect on your psychology. So there's two things you can do, right? So when you're having those limiting beliefs, is how are you standing? Change the way you stand. Change the way you move your body. You know, one of the reasons I work out every morning is because I want to get my body going so it can shift my psychology. Right? It shifts my psychology automatically. Have any of you gone for a long run? right? After a long run, how do you feel? Feel amazing. Can you feel depressed after a long run? Hey, you can't. You literally cannot. Your endorphins are going. You just cannot. Right? Number 2. I'm giving you the triad. Number 2 is your focus. What is your focus? Are you focused on what you fear, or are you focused on what you want? Are you focused on your fears, or are you focused on what you want? So, when I was in the middle of last December going through all that crap with that property, what do you think my focus was? What do you think? Getting it done, executing, getting my returns. I gave my word to my investors. I keep my word no matter what. I gave my word. My word is everything to me. I keep my word. I took these people's money. I'm going to make good on it. I don't care how uncomfortable it makes me. I looked at this person in the face and I told him that I was going to get him this return and I was going to execute, and you better believe that that's what I'm going to do. Now, I ask you, how many of you have 9 to 5s? Have regular jobs, right? A bunch of you have regular jobs. You guys got 9 to 5, you got to report to a boss, right? Right? You got to report to a boss. I'm going to tell you right now, when you raise capital, your new boss, your investors. That's who you report to. But I'd rather report to my investors all day long and make $100,000 a deal, make $200,000 a deal, than make $50,000 a year and be told when to take lunch, when to go on vacation, and create wealth. And them giving me the opportunity to create wealth. Because I'm giving them the opportunity to double their money, but they're giving me the opportunity to create wealth with their money. Where is your focus? So your focus, right? Your focus matters. Are you focused on what you feel? Are you focused on where you want to go? Where your focus goes, your energy flows, and what shows? Results. Results show. Results show. Where your focus goes, shift your focus towards your goals and your actions. When was the last time any of you looked at your goals? When was the last time? Anyone?
I have mine on my fridge.
Okay, this morning. Anyone else?
The last 3 months.
Last 3 months. That's absolutely unacceptable, brother. Anyone else? Every morning. That's right. That's right. Guys, you gotta direct your focus. What are you doing when you wake up? Are you the man on the horse? Remember the man on the horse? Story of the man on the horse? Just letting the horse take him wherever life is going to take him? Are you that person, or are you directing your energy, your focus? How many of you have a vision board? Few of you. So 2 days ago, I was in my room, Sunday. Today is what, Wednesday? Tuesday? 2 days ago, Sunday, I was in my bedroom. I have a big freaking wall just full of all of my stuff in my bedroom. And I'm telling my wife, I'm like, babe, I was like, look at this vision board. She goes, yeah? I said, look, like, we got most of these things here already. I'm like, we got this, we got that, we got that, we got that, we got this. I was like, this stuff really works. Seriously, guys, I know it's woo-woo. I know it's woo-woo, but I am a practical woo-wooist. If it works, I do it. If it doesn't work, I scratch it. Right? But a woo-wooist I am. Okay, number 3. What is your language? How are you talking, right? How are you talking? How do you talk to yourself when you're upset or annoyed? Think about last time you got upset. Think about last time you got upset. What did you say? Just think about the subtle difference that it would make if you say, instead of saying, and I reject this for you, instead of saying, I'm freaking pissed off at this situation, this shit pisses me off. And instead you change your language and said, this is annoying. Subtle difference. I'm annoyed by this. Do you guys feel that even the energy in the words? right? What would it do to you? I'm going to show you the power of language right now. If I say to you, how do you feel? Most of you say what? How do you feel? Fine. Great. Wonderful. Okay. Alive. Okay. I'm going to ask you how you feel. Stand up, everyone. Just stand up real quick. I'm going to show you the power of language. I'm going to ask you how you feel. And when I ask you how you feel, I want you to say okay. Okay? But when I ask you and you say okay, I want you to pay attention to what happens in your body when you use those words. What happens here in your core and your nervous system. So how do you feel? Okay. Okay, so you guys recorded that, how that felt in your nervous system? Okay. Now I'm going to ask you how you feel again, but this time around you're going to say, I feel wonderful. Even if you don't. But I want you to gauge your nervous system, what that does to your nervous system when you use those words. How do you feel? Do you see the difference? Did you feel the difference in your nervous system? I'm going to ask you again how you feel. Play with words. You're going to say, I feel outstanding. How do you feel? Outstanding. Which one felt better to you, wonderful or outstanding? Outstanding. Right? So you see the words, and some people it's wonderful. Right? You see how words have a subtle effect on how we feel. Words have a powerful effect on your outcomes too. Because how you feel will dictate the actions you take. See how I put up there, massive action? How you feel will dictate the actions you take. That's how you stand, what you say, what you do, and then lastly, you guys can sit down, is the top is the meaning you give. Everything. What is belief? Right? What is belief? The meaning we're giving it. What meaning you're attaching to a circumstances determines your belief system. When things happen to you, are you thinking life is happening to you, or are you thinking life is happening for you? You have a decision. So this happened, what's my lesson? So what is wisdom? What is wisdom? I got a lot of different things, different meanings, so people give different meanings to wisdom. Experience, that's really deep, yes. Experience in what? Life. I was just sharing this with my team this weekend. We had our Compass Day, so I have Compass Day with my team. What is wisdom? Wisdom is a series of experiences, our own experiences, and others, but the best wisdom comes from our own experiences. Wisdom is a series of our own experiences, good or bad, hence when we take the time to ask ourselves that question in there. What is my lesson in this matter? That question. So when you're going through something where you're annoyed, something annoys you, and you take the time to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What does this mean? What else could this mean? What is my lesson here? Right? When you take the time to ask yourself, what's your lesson, and you take the time to document it, what you're doing is you're cementing the good in whatever situation, and you're taking that as a golden nugget and you're putting it in your pocket for the future. Because here's what happens. And maybe this has happened to some of you, or maybe this has not, right? But you take the time to say, hey, man, what did I learn in this deal? People are, I went in there and I increased the rents by $50 and people just fled. What is there for me to learn in that? Right? What could I have done differently? What's my lesson, right? Okay, my lesson is maybe I could have been a little bit more tactful. I could be a little bit more tactful next time when I'm going into a property, right? And increasing rents. Maybe my property manager needs to communicate a little different next time, because that wasn't my plan. My plan was May. It turned out in my favor, but my plan was April, May, right? Maybe my property manager could be a little bit more tactful, and I write it down and I move on. Now 2 years later, 2 years pass by, and I'm in another situation, totally unrelated to real estate. And here's what your unconscious mind does. Maybe you're at work, or you're with a colleague, or you're with someone in the streets, And all of a sudden, or Damien or someone is telling you something, some trouble they're going through. And all of a sudden, because you took the time to write it down, your brain starts to tell you, this looks a lot like that situation that happened 2 years ago. Let me slow down here. Let me ask a better question. Let me ask a little different question. Yeah, it's not the same thing, but this behavior looks a lot like that. Let me slow down. Let me back up a little bit. Let me analyze this differently. That's what happens that's how you accumulate wisdom, when you ask that question to yourself and you write down what your lessons are. Because your brain starts to identify patterns and behaviors and people and situations. But when you're like the man on the horse that's just letting the horse take them, and you don't take the time to think and do the hard work of thinking, I tell my team this all the time, people do not want to do the hard work of thinking. You know, 2 days ago, I had to, in that same property I just told you, I had to move 2 fridges. 2 fridges broke down. I had to go buy a fridge. Fridge broke down twice in 3 months. I was like, you know what, I'm done buying used appliances. I went to Lowe's and bought a new fridge. Tenants were complaining. I usually don't do that stuff. I usually just either have Lowe's or Con, but I had to do it. I had to get resourceful. It's my clients, it's my business. Jumped in my truck, picked up the fridge, took it there, had to take a contractor off a job. We had to remove the one door to bring the fridge in. We had to remove another door to bring it in. Then we had to remove the doors on the fridge that was inside, take the fridge out, put those doors back on, take this one out the box, remove the doors, take that one in, put the doors back in the house. That took my whole morning. And even in that taking my whole morning, doing that, as annoying as it was, and as much as I don't like doing that stuff, doing that is a lot easier. So you don't have to think. I have to take the door, put a door, take this door, put the door, take this out, put it on the truck, take it over there. You don't require thinking for that, right? That's a lot easier than when I have to sit on Sunday, when I sit with my journal on Sunday, and I think, okay, what do I want for this week? What are the actions I need to take this week to get me closer to my goal for this year? Doing that is a lot easier than that. Doing that requires no discipline. Doing that on Sunday and sitting and thinking, okay, I got to meet with Damien. Okay, we got this deal we got to do. Okay, I need these people to do this thing so that we can move this in this direction and that we can hit our goals this quarter. That of lifting a fridge is a lot easier than that. Who here agrees with that? Right? People don't want to do the hard work of thinking, so I'm going to challenge you that if you sit down and you strategize and you do the hard work of thinking, I assure you that you're going to beat your competitors by freaking miles. All right, guys, any questions before we wrap it up? Any questions? Yes, sir, Ivan?
With the moratorium now that is lifted,
moratorium is not lifted. Moratorium has been extended till October 3rd. Moratorium has been the eviction moratorium has been extended till October 3rd, although they did it unconstitutionally because the federal courts, Supreme Court? The Supreme Court had judged that the CDC was out of bounds with the Constitution by stopping getting involved in private sector matters with contract and things like that. So Biden played a card and he instructed the CDC to extend it again, and his plan was, if it's going to take 2 months for people to fight it or something, but in those 2 months at least people have relief. Right? So they're playing, it's political, it's a political game, but it has not been lifted.
are you going to see a change? I mean, you're going to see a lot of foreclosures?
So the data, so on the mortgage side, I'm going to just share some data with you. You guys know I watch the data. On the mortgage side, the data shows that there's a huge increase last month, July. 32% of those that were in forbearance, in other words, not paying their mortgage, have caught back up and are back on regular payment plans. So just to give you an idea, the data shows right now that basically, if there were to be foreclosures right now, based on those numbers, it would be no different than normal foreclosure data. That's what, normal foreclosure time. So I was one of those that predicted, opportunity, there's going to be a ton of opportunities. I had this all wrong. I'm not right all the time. I thought COVID was going to correct the market, and it had a total different effect on the market. I just played it, right? All I did was look at the data, look at the data, look at the data. Okay, the data is telling me that what I was thinking, I wasn't stuck on my own idea. Yeah, this is what I thought was going to happen, and many of you know, because many of you were on those Zoom calls. Some of you were, I don't know if some of you were on those Zoom calls when we were having this meeting virtually. And I was saying, hey man, there's going to be opportunity, there's going to be a ton of stuff, there's going to be opportunity. Didn't happen. The market went the other way. So I had that wrong.
So do you think it's going to be a new norm with the prices the way, like let's say my house, originally it would probably been 160, now it's probably like 220, 230. Is it going to be, that's going to be a new norm, or is it going to come down to maybe the 200s where?
Okay, this is just speculation, right? So this is my opinion. Okay, this is just my brain based on the data, observing, and from my experience in the past, in the last recession. There's a lot, that's a loaded question. I'm gonna tell you why. What dictates price is there's two things that dictate the market: unemployment and migration. As long as there's money and people are working, which is weird times right now, right? So I put a post the other day and I said, weird times. We have the highest job growth, guys, just data, right? The labor statistics, we had the highest job growth in July, 950,000 jobs, new jobs, right? 950,000 new jobs, yet we have a 6% unemployment rate. The market is hot, right? What drives real estate usually is jobs, right? When there's work, people can pay their bills, right? Consumers drive real estate prices. The other thing that drives real estate is the interest rates. So a lot of factors depend on that. Someone challenged my thinking, and I said this here a few months ago. What if this is the new normal? Just think about that. We have inflation, we have all the money that's been printing, right? The savings are the highest they've ever been for average Americans. Americans have more savings now in their bank accounts than they ever had in the history of this country because of all the money that's been printed. So there's a lot of economic factors that really play into that. I think, my personal opinion now, I think there's going to be a correction, but the correction is going to look more like, not like 2008 like this, because right now I have 7 flips. Right now we have about 7 deals we're working on. Just to give you guys an example, give you a gauge of the market. Saturday, 8 a.m., my wife put 7 a.m., she put one of my properties on the market. 8 a.m., right? I had a meeting with my team at 8 a.m. in my office. By the time I got out of that meeting, by 1 p.m., she told me we had an offer already. Right? Over asking. Now, when I look at who's the borrower, right? Because I like to look at the data. I like to look at what's really happening around me. What's happening around me. When I look at the data and I look at who's the borrower, right? The banks are not lending. They're not lending to people with low credit scores. They're only lending to high, good borrowers. So where is the correction happening, right? Is it going to be a crash like last time? Or is it going to be a correction? I think it's going to be a correction. My opinion, I think it's going to be a correction and a leveling off. right? It's gonna be like this, and maybe a little shift and like this. Now, a lot of that, in my opinion, not my opinion, this is a fact. The 1% rule. For every 1% that the interest rates go up, there's a 10% drop in prices. I'm going to repeat that to you guys. So there, you got to be paying attention to what the Feds are doing. This is why I always tell you guys in this meeting, you got to be watching not just the data, you got to be watching what's happening here locally. That's why you come to meetings like this, right? You got to be seeing what's happening here locally. And then you got to be paying attention to what the Feds are doing. Eviction moratorium, foreclosure moratoriums, right? You got to be paying attention to what they're doing. With jobs, what are they doing? You got to be paying attention to what Jerome Powell's doing. Is he raising the rates? For every 1%, there's a 10% drop. It's just the way the rule works, right? Because when the rates go up, what happens? Payments go up for people. When the rates go down, then people can afford more housing. Believe it or not, last week the rates went down again. How? I don't know. But the interest rates went down again last week. Right? The market is strong. But for who? You know, for who? And then again, we can go into this economic discussion. We could talk about, I always talk to my kids about this. I was talking to my son earlier in the car about who's really winning in this whole economic situation, right? The government's giving a lot of money, right? Yes? Right? There's employment. There's a big unemployment issue where some people are not wanting to go back to work because they're making more money, and that's fair. By the way, that is a mindset. And that is not a wealthy person's mindset. I assure you, because I have a lot of wealthy friends, that's a poor person's mindset. I assure you that. But that is what it is. Some people are not wanting to go back to work because they're making more money. Who's really winning from this? So that person that's making more money might think, we're going to go back to raising capital. Are you guys okay with me sharing this? I know time's up, but you want me to share this? Is that okay? I don't want to, you guys go with that? So some people may think that, that person may think, well, yeah, I'm making more money. Correct though, at the moment. But what are you doing with that money? Do you know how to get it to a syndicator that's going to double that money for you? Or are you just consuming that money? So when that party's over, where will you be? Worse. I'm going to tell you why worse. Worse. Because now we have inflation. Now we have, rent has gone up 14% year over year, just so you guys know. 14%, double digits. Rents have gone up 14% from last year, July, to this July. 14%. That is huge. Now we have inflation. Who's winning? The rich are getting richer. You know who's winning? Those of us that have assets. Those of us that buy an asset for $500,000 and then fix it, increase the rent, and then sell it for $1.1 million. We bought an asset last December in Oklahoma City for $2.1 million, 76 units. I'm a co-GP on this deal. And the GP just announced that, hey, we have an offer for $4 million on the deal. What do you think we're going to do? We out. So who's winning? Right? So guys, get in this game. The ones that are winning are the people that have assets. So inflation. Who does inflation benefit? All this money printing, it benefits the rich. Okay, inflation goes up, my assets go up in value, my rents go up, I make more money. Meanwhile, the person that doesn't have the fiscal education, that doesn't know how to do these things, right? Doesn't know where to go to put their money to work for them. They're buying TVs, and it's unfortunate because that was me too, right? They're not going out there, they're not putting themselves in a room like this. By the way, this is really high level information. This conversation is not a conversation that most people out there can have. Because they don't know. They're in a hypnotic rhythm of, I'm going to go to work like a robot, and I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to make my paycheck to pay my bills and be happy. And that's okay. but that's not for me. Right? That's okay. You have to decide if that's for you, and that's okay if you decide that that's for you. But don't let it be that someone else projected that onto you. Why do you work? Have you asked yourself that question? Why do you work? That's what everyone else is doing. Was that your choice?
That's how you live.
What's that?
That's how you live. That's how you
Where'd you learn that? Where'd you first learn that? See what I'm saying? So if we don't stop to pattern interrupt the way we think, the way we do things, it's a hypnotic rhythm, right? It's a hypnotic rhythm. You live in this hypnotic state and you never get out of that hypnotic rhythm unless you put yourself in a room like this where it patterns interrupt your thinking, like, oh shit, I never thought about that. Holy smoke, I didn't know that existed. Holy smokes, can you really do that? Can you really buy a property for 2.1 and then get an offer for 4 million in less than a year? This was December we bought that property. Right? And we're going to hold off, same strategy, we're going to hold off until we make a year anniversary. We're like, okay, we'll put it on the contract, but we're going to wait, we're going to close December because we don't want to pay the flipper tax. It's active. So if you wait a year, so as a flipper, when I flip a property, I pay up to 30%, 40% taxes. That's active income. When I buy a property, so my CPA wants me to buy these properties, and he's like, Martin, you need to hold them for you. I'm like, yo, dude, I'm not built like that yet. You know what I mean? I'm not built like that yet. I got to move this. I got to move this. I need the cash flow to keep my business flowing, to keep my guys going, to keep things going. He wants me to buy them and hold them for a year, and then sell them a year later. Because then my tax burden goes down from a 40, 30, 40% to up to 20%. Up to, so it could be 10, it could be 12, it could be, 5, depending on my strategy. Yes, ma'am?
If you were to reinvest that money into another property,
If it's active, it depends. So there's something called a 1031 exchange. So if I can go from same like assets. So for instance, that property I told you guys about in Tobyhanna, right? So I've already convinced, I sold, by the way, because I'm a salesman. I do that, and I'm okay with that. I sold and convinced. I didn't have to do much convincing because I proved with the results I got them. My investors to 1031 the $500,000 that we're all going to make and put it into another asset. So, but it's got to be in the same like type of property. I can't go, trust me, we've tried, I've asked my CPA, I can't go from my flips and put it into, and move it into a passive investment. Or I can't even take that profit from my flips and put in another flip. When you're flipping is inventory. Flipping is no different, the way my accountant explained it to me, is no different than selling sneakers or selling a chair or anything else. You buy it, you do whatever you're going to do, and you sell it. It's just inventory. In order for it not to be considered inventory, to get the tax advantages, I have to hold it for a year. Right? Create value, rent it, and then sell it. And then my tax burden goes down. So if I now take that money from my multifamily that I've owned for a year, and then I take the profit, I got 60 days. My partner just did a 1031. She's in the middle of doing one. We got 60 or 90 days, I can't remember, to identify a deal, another deal to move it to. And then you got 120 days to execute on that deal. If not, taxes are due on the end of the year. So that's one of the strategies that the wealthy people use, 1031, right? So Biden's tax plan was to get rid of the 1031. He wanted to get rid of the 1031 because there's a lot of people that are not paying tax. But when you look at the data and who's really using the 1031, it's not the super wealthy people. The super wealthy people don't pay taxes, guys. I'm going to tell you right now. They don't really pay much taxes. Right? The rich people, so I was talking to my friend Tamar today, and she's like, listen, I have some money in this fund, and you don't pay UBIT taxes, you don't pay this taxes, and it's tax shelter because of whatever. I don't know, right? I don't know all the stuff she was telling me, but she's a lot smarter than me, she's a lot richer than me, so I'm listening, right? They know how to move the money where they take advantage of depreciation and everything when they put it in certain funds. She's like, I put $100,000 in this deal here, which she talked to me on my podcast about it. I put $100,000 in this deal, but I'm not really happy because I got my K1s. K1s is like the tax papers that they gave you. She gave it to me really late, and I wasn't happy, whatever. And it's gonna hurt me because now I can open up the IRS to check in my books. This is the kind of conversation that rich people have, right? That they talk about how they're moving their money, how they're not paying taxes, and strategies not to pay taxes. Right? But when you look at the data of who uses a 1031, is regular mom and pop guys like you and I that are really using that 1031. It's not them. They have way more advanced strategies than we do. Right? I know I gave you guys a lot there. I'm kind of sorry. I love this stuff, so I can talk about this stuff. Any other questions for me? Anyone else? Any other thoughts? No? Good? Anyone else? You're good? Ivan?
Yeah, good.
So guys, listen, regardless, I'm going to leave you with this, regardless whether there is if there is a bunch of evictions, those people still have to move somewhere, right?
Yep.
The question is, if you're the landlord, are you going to take those people? Right? They have to move somewhere. But are you going to take them if you own the property now? I'm not taking them. Publicly, if watching me, I'm not taking them. Evictions are a no for me. Because how you do anything is how you do everything. Through whole of COVID, my portfolio, I evicted 2 people through COVID, but I had no problems of anyone calling COVID on me, playing the COVID card on me. Why do you think that is? Why do you guys think that is?
You're a human.
Okay, we were all humans. Why do you guys think that is?
They were responsible. It was their obligation to pay it.
Yeah, they knew that, but before that, there's something that happens before that. Yes, sir?
They weren't paying before COVID.
You got it. What's that?
They weren't paying before COVID.
No, they were paying. I didn't have any issues. Everyone paid. So I had 100% collections. And the 2 evictions I did weren't because they didn't pay rent, was because they were disruptive and they were destructive to my property. They were in violation of the lease, not because they didn't pay violation, they were just one was disruptive to my other tenants, and I had to get rid of her. And the other one, I don't remember what it was. I didn't renew. It's just, I didn't like her. My property manager was having a lot of trouble with her. They said, we're not renewing. So it was bye. But the main reason, guys, the real main reason why is because up front, I'm very strict. I have certain rules and certain values. Remember what I said earlier, you gotta know what you want. If you want to know what to do in real estate, you need to know what. The numbers will tell you what to do. But in order for the numbers to tell you what to do, you need to do what? You need to know what you want. Right? What do you want? If you know what you want, then you know how to play. Then you create your own values. I know what I want, and I don't want shitty tenants. That's what I don't want. So, if you have an eviction, my property managers know not to even talk to me. Like, you're wasting your time even talking to me. Right? If you have an eviction, it's an absolute no. If you come with stories, we've heard so many weird stories. Oh, I was living with my uncle, and dude, I don't. If you're coming off of another thing, if you're coming off of a motel, my pattern to my data tells me when they're living in motels and they're living in those places, and then they want to come to my place, they always wind up being crap. That's been my experience. So when I hear that, nope. That doesn't work for me. You don't have a rental history, you don't have a landlord that can give me a verification of rent. Nope. Because because I have experience, right? When I hear oh, I was this again, maybe not so, maybe some of you like it, maybe some of you won't like it, and I'm okay with that. When I hear I was in a shelter and we had a couple of cases where I gave, the reason I know is because I've helped people before, right? You learn. I was in a shelter, my husband used to beat me, I was in a and then they come and then the husband still winds up coming there and beating them and doing the same shit all over again. So, no, I'm not interested. Someone else has got to help. One of you guys can help there. It ain't me. So, yeah, experiences, right? Lessons. If you don't learn your lesson, the universe is going to keep repeating the freaking same lessons over and over and over again until you learn it. Right? So guys, I can go on and on about this stuff all night long. Trust me, I can talk real estate and talk all this stuff all night long. You guys have any other questions? If not, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming. Remember to give us a couple of good stars, 5 stars on Facebook. And I'll see you guys next month. Make sure you guys come back next month. We'll have good content next month again. All right, guys? Thank you for coming.